kind of a slow piano song. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to get dance or excited or it's just kind of, thoughtful.
I love jamming to this melody for a minute, guys. Just give me a minute.
You can do this all day.
Hey. We are Molly and Emily with Be Better Together. We're so excited to be here in your world right now. Thank you for joining us on another Sister Straight Talk live.
Sister Straight Talk. Say that 10 times fast. Sister Straight Talk. Sister Straight. I can't even say it 2 times fast. Let us know you're here. We love knowing that you're here. We got a fun day planned, don't we, Molly?
We have a really fun day planned. Emily's going to make a really cool announcement, okay? And we're going to give it to you straight, like we always do. That is what you've come to expect from us. Some realness from our own lives and our own journeys. And that is what you can expect the same today. So let us know that you're loving it with hashtag live or hashtag replay and interact with us. We just do a Zoom or a phone call. Emily and I just wanted to talk to each other, but we're here.
We really just wanted to talk to each other, but it's more fun when we know that you're here and then we know that we're talking to each other. It's kind of like being on, I imagine, it's kind of like being on a reality TV show. I imagine that this is what that feels like. And the conversation we're going to have today is going to be some major news that I will share, that you will get a window into my real life, a window into my real world, a window into my reality show. So you won't want to miss that. And think like you're watching, the Housewives of Beverly Hills, except it's the Housewives of Sister Straight Talk. I don't know.
The Housewives of Seattle.
The Housewives of Seattle and Detroit.
Yeah, the greater Detroit area. It's not as glamorous, but it's way more real.
Yeah. What if we just call it Metropolitan Housewives? Do you think that would be a top, show that people would watch, the Metropolitan Housewives?
So, friends, would you watch that show?
Would you watch that show? Let us know. Would you watch the Metropolitan Housewives? Oh, man.
New wantable boxes, their clothing,
their
friendly clothing, and
our liquid collagen.
Videos about their dogs and their kids. And
oh man, it's a real page turner. The Housewives of, what did I say? The Metropolitan Housewives. Real. Tune in every week for a new exciting update of what Emily got in the mail. Yeah, pretty much. But this is actually today, there is a pretty big announcement. There is a pretty exciting announcement. So like if you're watching the Metropolitan Housewives today, and if you're just hopping on and joining, you're like, what are they even talking about? The Metropolitan Housewives.
This is not a thing. This is not really a thing.
I don't know. It might be a thing. I have an idea right now. It's coming together. We're definitely, probably, maybe doing that.
Who wants to see it? Let us know.
I want to see it. I want to be on a reality show. And you know what? I think it's my speed. That type of reality show, because there's not a lot of expectation for entertainment. That's like totally what I can do.
Just follow us around. And then the other person, the camera person, the director, I guess, they edit and clip what
the camera person,
what's interesting.
Yeah. I love that you think the camera person and the director are the same person. Not necessarily. I meant it small budget.
I actually meant it as 2 different things. The camera person and the director work together.
Oh my goodness. Guys, if you're hopping on, now that we're talking about the Metropolitan Housewives, tell us where you're tuning in from. Tell us where you're watching us from today. We always like to know, where in the world are you? Where in the world are you, Carmen Sandiego? Tell us. We want to know. We're talking today about what if the obstacle is the way? What if? And we're tying that into my major announcement that we'll just keep teasing until we get a couple more minutes in, so more people have a chance to hop on. But we'll just keep teasing. I have a major announcement. So we want to talk about how, you say it eloquently, Molly.
We want to talk about how you can train your brain to seek out a solution instead of a problem. We want to talk about how a lot of times you're just asking yourself the wrong question. And here's the fun fact. If you ask yourself a question, your brain will always answer. I'll give you an example. Am I pretty enough?
No.
Exactly. Your brain will say no, because your unspoken thought when you ask that question is no, 100% no. Your brain is scientifically wired to answer whatever question you ask it.
100%.
And you say, am I pretty enough? What's that, Emily?
Oh, 100%, I said.
Oh, I thought you said, okay. When you ask the question, am I pretty enough? It's a negative question. Your brain is going to answer that. So then you're walking around convinced that you're not pretty enough because you're looking in the mirror and your brain is at rapid fire sending your subconscious thoughts. And it's literally just asking the question it's not creating a fact. It's not creating a truth. It's literally just answering the question that you gave it, because that's what it's designed to do.
Right. Or, why am I so tired? Or, why can I never do anything right?
Yeah. Guess what? You're going to agree with
why
you.
do I always burn my dinner? Whatever it is. We always ask the question in a negative way. Our brain has to answer the question that we ask. And so it answers the question that it's given.
It's scientifically wired to answer the question. And here is the truth. Here's the reality of it. It's not going to give you necessarily the right answer. It just has to answer the question. You can't
so true.
Your brain to give you the truth. So what we're going to talk about today is how to learn to start. Well, we're going to skim the surface, because it's a nice segue to what Emily's going to talk about. We'll delve into this a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll go into that. Hey, here's something fun I just noticed, Molly.
Yeah. What?
Do you know when I put the banner up? Now names go away. I've never noticed that before. Is that just this view? Look at that.
Try this one. Yeah.
We're trying a different view today, guys. Isn't this exciting? We're trying a different view today. Go back to the other one. We're experimenting. Yeah, we're experimenting with some stuff. I know we're probably really tiny and small on your screens. Thanks for bearing with us.
Right. So if you can tell us if you can see us, if we're too tiny or not, that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Tell us if you can even see us. Tell us.
Great to know.
All right. Well, shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. So when we think about our life, okay, and we see something that we want, because everything that we want is on the other side of where we currently are. So picture a cliff. You're on the cliff's edge right over here. There's a deep valley, and then over on the other side is everything you want.
Yeah.
And you're over here asking your brain this question: could I make it safely to the other side? Can I really get there?
Yeah.
You're asking your brain this question, looking over this edge, this fatal drop edge. And your brain is obviously, when you ask a question like that, your brain is obviously going to see that reality as nope. I mean, clearly you can't. Clearly, look at the facts, ma'am. There is no way to get across. You're asking me there's a safe way to get across, to get over there to what we want. I mean, you're the one looking at it. You're looking at it. I mean, I'm just the brain. You've got the eyes. You've got the senses. You're the one giving me the data. I'm in here as the master computer, and I'm creating results from the data that you're giving me. And your input is giving me right now that you see and sense and smell danger. And there's no way that we can get to the other side. So your brain shuts down, goes into safety mode. This is all we can
Tula. Do. Here comes Tula.
This is the Tula break. Tula break.
Tula break.
That we can do right now. And Tula's on the other side of the cliff. And guess what, Emily? You can't get what the brain is telling you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, so true. 100%. We're going to segue and tie that into what we're talking about today. So, I don't, do you want to ask me questions, or do you want me to just get into it?
Ask you questions. So having given you all that little bit of science and explaining how we talk to ourselves and how our brain answers us, I'm going to give you an example of a way that you can talk to your brain instead. You can say, hey, this thing over here, we're going to talk about what that thing is in just a minute because it's Emily's story, okay? But this thing over here is something that I want. Brain, can I do this? Can I jump over there? Can I have that thing? Your brain's going to be like, well, duh, no, you can't. How about instead you ask your brain, but what if that's not true? What if I see a valley, but really I can build a bridge?
Ooh, I like that.
If I see an expanse, but I can fly? What if you said if you say to your brain, can I make it from here over this huge gap? Your brain's going to say no. But no. If you ask your brain, can I fly over this cliff? Your brain's going to be like, well, yeah, airplane, parasailing, parachute, blah, 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 on and on it'll go. It'll give you the options because you're asking a better question. Yeah. So, Emily, you had an obstacle. You had a question, something that a lot of women relate to and can resonate with right now. #relatable below as we're getting into this. You had something that's very common to the human female nurturing need. And you were asking your brain, can I have this thing? Can I have this in my life? And initially, your answer was, no, I don't think this is possible. I think this just isn't for me. I don't see how this can fit into my life. I don't see how I can find a way to make this fit. I think I'm just happy and content with the way things are right now with Ryan and myself. And Emily, can you share with us what that question was, what that thing was that you made your brain about?
Yeah. Great segue, Molly. Look at that. So guys, we really want to get personal today. I just want to share a journey that a lot of people know that Ryan and I have been going through, but not everyone does. And I thought now, for reasons that you'll find out, would be a great time to kind of just bring it to our Be Better Together sister straight talk world. And for it's been just under 2 years, Ryan and I have been working through, drum roll please, the surrogacy process. And the question that Molly was kind of getting at, and the question that I was asking is, am I going to be a mother? Am I going to be a mom? And for a lot of years, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I wasn't sure if I even wanted that. I think the classic, we've heard it a million times, but I was the classic girl that moved away and, went down the kind of the career path, and hi, Carrie, what's up? Went down the career path and went down, I explored other things. I did other things in life, and I felt very fulfilled. Like I had to get a lot of life and other ways out of my system. And, when Ryan and I got married, You're in the middle of it, Carrie.
We're still getting to it.
We're still getting to it. So in the middle of, what am I saying? When Ryan and I first got married, it was kind of understood that we would have kids, like we would have a family. But at the beginning, I never really saw myself as a mom. I always thought, well, that's a future version of me, but I never felt like it was a now version of me. And then as time goes by and you feel like I just kept waiting for that feeling to happen, that kind of trigger to happen that I don't know, all of my friends were experiencing, and kind of just, I was like, maybe I'm just not meant to be a mom. Maybe that's just not my path. But I knew that Ryan definitely wanted kids. And I would always say, when I picture myself 80 years old, sitting on my porch, kind of in my rocking chair, I don't picture myself alone. I picture myself having had a family. I picture myself being surrounded by grandkids and stuff, but I never really felt like that moment was now. And then, super long story short, when I got to the point where I felt, okay, I'm ready to be a mom, there were circumstances, medically speaking, that made it so that it just wasn't really doable. It wasn't really possible. And then I realized I'm in my mid-30s, and now it's getting complicated, like it does for a lot of women when they wake up in their mid-30s and realize they don't have kids yet, and are like, oh my gosh, I waited too long. Why didn't I do all these things? And, that was me. And I started to kind of panic a little bit that now that I'm at the point where I feel like I'm quote unquote ready, now I've waited too long, and there's all these obstacles in the way in order for this to happen. Mm-hmm. And so what we really want to talk about today is, what if the obstacle is the way? Meaning the goal is, Ryan and I are ready to have a family. Ryan and I want to have kids. And the answer is, well, it's going to be very difficult to do that, and it's going to be complicated to do that. So instead of saying, okay, well, we'll throw in the towel and it just isn't meant to be for us, what if we thought of it differently? And what if we found another way? And maybe the other way isn't an easy way, or even a way that most people even think of. It's not even something that, on a personal level, I've ever even had friends that I know even go through this process. I know that when I first talked to you about it, Molly, you were like, what? Huh? It's such a foreign concept. And so Ryan and I, about 2 years ago, we started the journey of having a kid through a surrogate, meaning that we have a surrogate who is going to be carrying our child. And
so if I could interject for a minute, this was the cliff's edge for Emily, where she was asking her brain this question. And like we just talked about, when we phrase our questions in the negative, our brain will always give us an answer, not because it's true, not because the negative is true, but because that's what our brain is wired to do. It's wired to answer a question. And so Emily's question was, have I waited too long? Is this really for me? Am I ever going to feel like I'm ready, or like now is the time? She kept asking these self-doubt questions. And of course, her brain always gave her the answer, nope, 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 and nope.
Totally.
Because it's wired to do that.
Yes, 100%. Yes. It kept answering, nope, not ready, nope, not ready, nope, not ready. And then when my brain was ready, it was kind of like, oh, well, now there's some other layers of complexity here. And you should have started this when you were 25.
It wasn't that her brain was ready. It was that her heart, her emotions, her feelings were ready. So a lot of times we mix up the feeling with the circumstance, or with the thought. The thought is just a thought. The feeling comes because of the thought. So suddenly she had this connection here where she was ready here. And instead of sitting on the side of that cliff and feeling like it's impossible and she's waited too long and having that regret and that remorse, she started asking herself a better question. So she started asking herself and talking to me and our mom and obviously her husband, obviously things like, how can I do this?
Yeah,
How can I?
questions like, if there was a way, what would that be?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how we learn to seek out solutions a lot of times is the obstacle is the way. So the reason that something isn't working for us can allow us to see the solution through another avenue. And if we don't really know what's not working for us, then we can't find a solution for it. So we know, Ryan and I knew that, me having a child the natural way was an incredible obstacle. So what if the obstacle was the way? Meaning, what if we figured out a way to make it so that I didn't carry the child? And what if we looked into other avenues for that? Things that don't kind of normally, quote unquote, normal people do every day. What if there was a solution that we just don't think about? What if there was a way that just is unnatural to kind of the world that we live in? Meaning, we grew up in a family where things like that just aren't done. You don't hire a surrogate. And it even sounds weird to say hire a surrogate, but you don't do things like that. You just, I don't know, maybe you would adopt, or maybe you just wouldn't have kids, or maybe you would just go through a lot of different medical procedures or whatever, but you don't do that. That's not something that you do. So what if you seek out a solution that maybe is a little bit different and you figure out a way? And so that's what Ryan and I did. So over the last 2 years, we started down the surrogate route. And let me tell you, everyone, 10 out of 10, so much work. 10 out of 10, rate that process is so much work. So much work to go through that process. And then guess what happened? COVID happened. And it has been a roller coaster of all of the things that, I could go on and on about all of the, like, okay, we're moving forward, stop. Okay, we're moving forward, stop. And, I just never even felt ready to talk about it, because I think in the back of my mind, I always wondered if it would happen. I always wondered if it would come together. And I don't know, I just always wondered, should I even talk about this? Because I'm not even sure if this will work. I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of doubt about it. I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of uncertainty. I had a lot of just kind of not knowing if it even made sense to do this. There were a lot of people when I first, started sharing this with friends and family, I wasn't even sure how people would receive it. I know that it's kind of a foreign concept for a lot of people to work with a surrogate, and it's kind of strange, having someone else carry your child, and they live in a different state, and how does that even work? And it's just kind of, blows your mind at first when you think about it. I wasn't even sure if I was okay with it. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do it. And it was one of those things where I was going through the steps of doing it, and I kept telling God, like, if this isn't meant to be, then just don't keep moving things forward. And then a roadblock would happen where things wouldn't move forward. And in a way, I felt kind of relieved, like, oh, well, this is God telling me that this isn't meant to be. We need to figure out something else. Okay, God is telling me that this isn't meant to happen. We need to figure out something else. And I was kind of using it as a cop-out for not really trusting that that if I just trusted that God had a plan for this all to come together, that he would show the way. And I just didn't fully trust in that. And so I didn't really want to talk about it, because I was afraid that if I said something and then it didn't happen and it didn't work out, then it would be really awkward and embarrassing. Because now I've told everyone, hey, we're having a baby through a surrogate. And then what? Tell me more. What is the timeline? When is the deadline? When is the baby being born? And then everything kept getting roadblocked, and I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't even want to talk about it, because I didn't have anything to tell. Well, we have a surrogate. We got matched with a surrogate. Yay. Okay, when's the baby being born? Well, there's 300 more steps after being matched with a surrogate that you have to go through. And so in a way, I didn't even want to speak about it until I knew that I could give information, because everything felt so slow and so long, and like anything could go wrong at any moment.
And here, if I can interject, then here's the thing that happens. When we seek out a solution and we start learning how to ask our brain a better question, and we learn to start problem solving with the significant people in our lives, it creates a brain chemistry emotion called empathy, where suddenly we can relate with other people, our own authentic journey. We have a fear because, again, our brain is wired to keep us safe, to keep us out of risk, and to keep us alive. So we have this innate desire to not share our story or our authenticity with anyone else, because, like Emily mentioned, there's always that risk of judgment and rejection.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. There's always going to be judgment and rejection, regardless of what you're talking about. It could be because you didn't buy the right kind of shoes at Payless Shoe Store. Like, honestly, anything and everything can be judged. So that is always an inevitable thing. But when we begin to just live in it and sit in it and say, you know what, this is right for me. This is my solution. It's not for everybody. And I'm okay with that. But it's what's right for me. Then you begin to have this magical emotion transpire, and your brain chemistry and your heart chemistry and everything just sort of works together. And suddenly you have empathy with other people, and you have an authentic.
I have so much empathy now, by the way.
Who are going through the same thing, or other people who really need to hear that story. And that's exactly what Emily started experiencing.
Oh my gosh. When I started talking to people about it, I realized, first of all, how many of my friends had even gone through IVF, and how many of my friends had even gone through that process. And, I realized how awful it was and what a terrible experience it was. And then I find out my friend, did it 5 times, and I had no idea. And all of a sudden we can connect and bond about that. And I have empathy for that, because now I understand. Now it's not just a headline. Now I get it. And now I understand. And so, and Carrie, like you just said, it's not that strange, right? Surrogacy is not that strange. People do it all the time. But until you open the door to talking about it, until you open the door to doing it, until you open the door to kind of letting it into your life, you think, so I was judging it. Oh, this is really strange. I felt very uncomfortable with the concept. This is very strange. I don't know how I feel about this. But once you start, walking down the path of the obstacle is the way, meaning, carrying a child naturally isn't going to work, very easily, then what if we figure something else out? All of a sudden, people from everywhere are telling me, oh my gosh, I was a surrogate, or my sister had a surrogate, or my sister is a surrogate, or so-and-so did that. And all of a sudden you find out, hey, there's a lot of people out there like you. There's a lot of people out there with a similar story. And you would never know if you didn't, show up and talk about it. And so,
like, you're sitting on the cliff's edge and you suddenly ask your brain, but what if that's not true? What if there's a way that I could do it?
Yeah.
And you decide to take the parachute. Suddenly you have an entire community of people who are afraid to fly, who you get to talk to. Wasn't that so terrifying? Wasn't that the worst thing ever? But hey, look, we're on the other side. Wasn't that amazing?
Exactly. And so, really, my solution was that, Ryan and I were going to figure out a way to make it happen. Now, I want to say, going through the surrogacy route is very expensive. And so, when you make the decision to do that, then the obstacle is the way. The next obstacle is, well, this is very expensive. And we could spend a lot of money going through this with no guarantee that it will even work, with no guarantee that we'll even have a baby at the end of it. And so it feels like a lot of money to spend to even get, you are so invested financially in the process before the surrogate even actually does the work the surrogate is meant to do.
Yeah.
Financially, so much money into the process before you even get to the point where you can even have a baby. And so again, thinking in kind of that, limiting belief mindset of, of making it reasons why something isn't possible, instead of asking your brain, but what if it was? But what if it was? And so, Ryan and I figured out a way to make it financially possible, because we ask our brain, this is the result that we want. We want to have kids. We want to have a family. So what if there was a way to make that happen? And we figure it out. So if you focus on finding the solution shows itself. But if you focus on the problem shows itself. And so that's what we found through this process. And did you say that you considered adoption? I mean, adoption is definitely something we'd be open to doing for sure. But, we wanted to explore this first. We wanted to go down this road first, for sure. But that's not like a no to adoption. So anyways, super exciting news is that our surrogate, she's amazing. And I could not, if I had, guys, by the way, finding a surrogate is kind of like, I've never done Tinder, but it's kind of like Tinder, swipe left, swipe right. And it's kind of, matching your, like, ooh, did they swipe left? Did they swipe right? Like, are you guys a match? And then there's a whole little interview process. It's kind of like online dating. It kind of is. It was kind of fun. And a little bit like, ooh, do they like me? Do they like me? So we found this amazing surrogate, and it's a weird experience at first to be talking about these contractual terms, and how do you think about termination, and how do you view about this? And you have to have these conversations with a stranger that you haven't even had with your husband. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're having them with your husband, but you're like, wait a minute, we do need to talk about that. That actually is something that we should think about. What do we think about this? What are our morals on this subject? And now, not only are we figuring it out, but now we're figuring it out with a stranger, and then with a lawyer with the stranger. And so it's a very bizarre thing to go through. But I have to say, you really get to know yourself very well. You really get to know each other very well. And I think that you bond in your relationship at a totally deeper level than if you had, we had a kid. And a lot of the conversations that I feel like some people just don't even think about having. And then all of a sudden you need to have them once they come up. This process gives you the chance to think about kind of all the obstacles that could potentially happen. And then you've talked through every angle, almost every angle. You can't talk through every angle, but you've talked through almost every angle. And then you're really on the same page. And it's things that you don't even ever think that you'll have to encounter, but you never know. And in quote unquote, just, having a baby the old fashioned way, it's probably things you'll never talk about. So anyways, the really exciting news, and the reason why Molly and I wanted to talk about this today, is because our surrogate had her embryo implantation date last Friday, and it's finally happening. It's finally happening. And, fingers crossed and prayers, please, that everything goes well, but it's looking very positive. And hopefully next week we'll be able to say she's pregnant.
So Emily wanted to share her journey with you because she's deciding to not live in that risk fear mindset anymore, and realizing that there's a benefit regardless of the outcome in sharing her story and her authenticity for you all. Because I know that there's people viewing this who are going to relate to this, and who are going to understand Emily and her life a little bit better, and who are going to help encourage her, and who are going to be excited to walk with her on this journey. And the worst thing that we can do, and that we often do, is keep things to ourselves so that we don't have to share our pain with the world, when in reality, sharing pain with the world is what ultimately heals us. Mm-hmm. Sharing joy with the world is what ultimately provides community and what connects us. And so sharing is always a plus. There will always be risk. There will always be judgment. Mm-hmm. There will always be bad things that come from it. But stop asking your brain, will there be judgment? Will there be risk? Start asking your brain, what are the good things that are going to come from this?
Yeah. And I was always afraid to talk about it, outside of sharing with friends and people kind of just close. I was always afraid to talk about it on social media because I thought, well, what if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't work out? What if I was asking my brain all the wrong questions? What if I make an announcement that, we're going to have a baby through a surrogate? And then what if, I don't know, COVID or something makes it so that we never are able to complete the process? Because there was a couple of months last year where it looked like it might never happen. Or what if, she gets pregnant and then she loses the baby, and then I've made this whole big deal about it. And then, and then it's just so many people that I have to update and tell them, well, wait another year. It felt exhausting to me to kind of live through constantly updating people on the journey, because the journey has been so long and so exhausting. And so it was just easier for me to not really talk about it, because then there's less explanation. And when people ask, are you having kids? It's easier to just say, well, probably someday, maybe someday, or just kind of joke about it. So we're at the point now, though, where like this is really real. This is real. Our surrogate is amazing. She's amazing, amazing, amazing. She's somebody who I feel like this is such a God thing, because she's somebody that I honestly would just want to be friends with. She's somebody that I would, if I was sitting down at a table talking to people, I'd be like, she's awesome. I'd want to just be friends with her. And it's such a God thing to have that. And so she and her family were in town last week. And so and Ryan's mom was here too. And so Ryan's mom got to meet her. We got to spend time with her family, and she has 4 amazing kids. We met 3 of them. One of them wasn't here, but she has 4 amazing kids of her own, and she is amazing. Her family's amazing. We got to spend a lot of time kind of just traveling around with them last weekend. We went over to Port Townsend together. We did all these cool adventures together. We just kind of hung out. Like, I kind of feel like I have a new kind of family in a way, which is an awesome thing, unexpected benefit of all of this.
Yeah.
And, so fingers crossed, and all the prayers. I would so appreciate the prayers that, we'll officially know in 10 days. And so that brings us to, early next week. And, even after that, anything can happen, as we know, but it's looking very positive. It's looking like last Friday when the embryo was implanted, it's looking like it's taking, it's looking like it's working, and it's looking like Ryan and I might be parents this time next year, which is crazy. So that's the big announcement. The big announcement is, sometimes it takes longer than you want it to take. And sometimes it looks different than you expect it to look. And sometimes it's not the story that you were planning on writing for your life. But instead of saying roadblock, 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 what if you say obstacle? What is the other way? What's the other way that we can do this? Maybe we can fly. Maybe we can drive. Maybe we can jump. Maybe we can tunnel. Maybe we can whatever. What if the obstacle was the way? And what if instead of thinking, well, I can't because of this, or I can't because of money, or I can't because of that, or whatever, what if you found a way through that obstacle rather than using that? And this is applicable to almost every area in life when it comes to health, to weight loss, to nutrition, to working out, to, feeling miserable at the job that you're in, feeling stuck in life, feeling stuck in a relationship in life. What if you viewed everything in life with that lens? What if you viewed everything in life that, well, what if the obstacle was the way? What if I keep getting a no to this and a no to this and a no to this, but what could I get a yes to in life? What could I get a yes to in life? What can I do to move that yes forward, meaning move forward a little bit closer to the direction that I want to go in? Yeah.
So please stay tuned. Share in our story. It's my story too. I mean,
yeah,
it's practically going to be my child as well.
Yes, it is.
Twin sister. So I am over the moon excited. I am in that phase of my life where I need to desperately snuggle another baby. I am such a nurturer, and I was truly never happier than when I had little babies to hold. And I didn't know that about myself until that moment happened. But I am so ready to hug a little baby niece or nephew, and I'm so excited. And share with us what you are learning or thinking as you're experiencing this live with us, the Straight Talk live with us. What's your Straight Talk reality right now? What can I invite you? Can I invite you to just send us a message? What's the solution that you're struggling to find? What's the answer that maybe you would just like to talk out with a friend to think about differently? We're here for you. We want to help you. So hashtag relatable, hashtag live, hashtag replay, whatever your hashtag is today. We want to hear from you. And thanks for joining our Sister Straight Talk. We'll see you again live and in person next Thursday at our usual time. And I think we're ready and out.
I think we're ready and out. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. We'll keep you updated. I'll keep you updated, and hopefully we have some good news next week. And thank you for being here. The obstacle is the way.
We appreciate you. You're amazing.
You're amazing. Are you ending it? Are you ending the broadcast? Am I ending the broadcast? Are you ending the broadcast? Are we ever ending?
We're enjoying a moment together.
Okay.
Over and out, Sister Straight Talk. Be better together. Hashtag. We love you guys. See you next week.